and hit record. So right now it's recording that MIDI into a new track. And I can play around with the pitch here. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a progressive house project that I'm currently working on. As you can see, it's not even in arrangement view. It's still in session view. And this is exactly what we're going to stick with, just to demonstrate the whole concept of how simple it can be to come up with track ideas. For demonstration purposes, I will start with just the drums. So I'm going to mute all these different Diva layers. I think this is the bass. I didn't even color code or name these tracks properly. I literally just started this project a few moments ago. So let's hit play. Okay, solid. Nice. Sounds good on its own, the drums, yeah? Which is already a good sign. Yeah, kick not too upfront and bassy. I feel like it fits well underneath the groove, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, so we have a top loop here. I just used top loops here for this project. This one is like a hi-hat clap loop. This one is also hi-hat clap, but has some percussion in between and a shaker. So one emphasizes the core 8th note groove, you know, uts, ats, uts, the hi-hat clap, and the other one emphasizes the in-between little fiddly stuff, the shaker-ish stuff. And then an additional hi-hat layer from Audio Tent, I think. Oh, no, excuse me, that's the tom. Yeah, this is the hi-hat. Might as well put it next to this here. Barely audible, but it just adds a bit of stereo width here. And the clap has a bit of pre-shift to it, like a it kind of slaps into the clap before it hits. And I kind of like that for organic house and progressive house. Yeah. This loop is really good because it has a bit of call and response percussion in it as well. Yeah, sometimes I don't like to come up with stuff myself. Just use top loops if I want to, I guess, focus on more of a melodic aspect of the track and practice my melodies or bass grooves. You know, just chuck in a few loops. But it's also fun to come up with them yourself, so kind of find your workflow, yeah? And a kick. And then I added some tom here, also from Audio Tent. Nice. And then after I have the tom, I come up with some kind of a pad. And in this case, I also used some loop, which originally sounded like this. It's from Polyend's Atmospheric pack. I pitched it down 1/2 tone step, and I chucked it through this new Space Blender plugin by Soundtoys, which I'm just starting to get to know without it. Very mono. With it, obviously very stereo. And I use this light year transmission preset to, I guess, give it some length, some ambientness. I already have like a very solid foundation to my track without having to fiddle around with MIDI notes and so on. And I have a tonal basis to the track as well, using the tom groove and the pad. Already very danceable, something that you might find in an intro of a track, yeah? This would be the intro, for example, no tom groove here, yeah? Makes you just want to dance already. Very nice. Yeah, but the emphasis of this video is gonna be the 3 Diva layers that I have here. I used a sound from Diva, yeah. This is one that I came up with for my most recent preset pack, Eclipse. But you could use any sound, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. So let me blend this one in. Yeah, I actually started off with this sound. This was the first sound that I came up with, and I just jammed on my little MIDI keyboard here. And after I had a certain section, you can see that this is literally the entire recording of me just pressing notes on my MIDI keyboard, and I think I also scale locked it here to be Dorian. So Dorian is basically a mix between happy and sad, a mix between major and minor scale. It sounds a little more mysterious is the right word. And it's great because you can use it in either the major or the minor scale. What I recommend is that you just try out a few different scales. You can also try Mixolydian. I think that's what Ben Böhmer uses a lot. Phrygian sounds very Middle Eastern. Just have a little bit of fun, yeah? And in order to play the notes, if I would record arm this track, so I'm just hitting all the notes on my keyboard, but they're all scale locked to B Dorian. And that is because I have a pitch device which has this new scale awareness feature. Just got to turn it on. And as you can see, I've also pitched it up by an octave here, which is 7 scale degrees, SD. If we hit tab again, we go, if we double click here, we have our clip. So if I solo this, this is what I recorded in the very beginning here. Just jamming around on my keyboard. You see the notes that I accidentally missed, they're just locked to the scale. Yeah, so this one, F, wouldn't be in the scale of B Dorian, but it still plays the B, you see? And at the very end, I had this really nice progressive house Gaijay type ARP that I just looped like this. Alternative, you could also highlight your selection here, right click and crop clip time to selection. I think it's also Command-Shift-J. Yeah, and then you don't have all the other material. But I'm gonna undo that because sometimes I like to highlight a different section like here, hit Command-L to loop that, you know. You see, you can get a lot of different phrasing from just random keyboard jams. And it's a great way to decomplexify, to take away the complexity behind melodies, you know? I think this was the one. Let me undo that. Yeah, this was the one. You know, and what makes it easier to come up with a melody is if you already have a tonal foundation to your track, for instance, the pad and the toms, which already gives you some tonal information, the melody starts to come to you more naturally without you even having to think about it. You know, if you start with just the MIDI, it can be a little tough. If you have some kind of harmonic structure or tonal structure beneath your track, then it's easier to come up with a melody. Yeah, and then I have a second layer of exactly the same sound, which is pitched up 9 scale degrees plus an octave, which makes that 16 scale degrees. So I think this would be the perfect fifth, if I'm right. Just adds a bit of variety, adds a higher harmonic, which also gives you more space for the arrangement. So imagine you're playing this sound, and the track goes on, and the next one comes in. You keep the track interesting, and you didn't really do that much. You know, you just duplicated a track here, basically just pitched it up, and it already sounds like you've added some new element, but all you've done is just, you know, copy pasted the track. And it's really cool technique because it also makes your track more harmonically interesting. Yeah, and it's the same freaking sound. I actually recommend using the same sound and not having to use millions of different presets because you use the same frequencies, basically, the same overtone structure, same saw wave, same square wave. Makes sense to kind of blend those in together and just split them across octaves. Yes, next sound. I'm not sure if this is actually the same sound though. I think this is a different preset from Eclipse. Dominus. It's a really dominating bass sound usually. I think it's just a bass layer. No, it's actually the same preset. That's funny. It's the same preset, bass dominus, I used for the lead layer, the harmony, and the bass. So that just proves how much you can do with one preset. And that's sort of where I wanted to get with this video here, is that your drums have to sound good on their own if you solo them, and your melodic content should sound good on its own if you solo it. And if you merge those two together, that makes it easier to arrange the track, to make it a full track, because you have material for your break, for example, or let's say a phase in your track where you have less drums. But if you blend in the drums, it sounds like you got a drop. It kind of makes this whole feeling. And then I have this bass line. Yeah, which is ARP number 19, the waveform from the Eclipse pack. I didn't make a video on this pack yet. It's the first pack that I haven't made a video on yet. 80 presets, and for every preset there's an according MIDI file. For those of you who are wondering what the frick is this interface with Diva, it's actually a skin. This is a skin by... I forgot the name. Very well prepared, the video, huh? Anyway, Fudz It. Yeah, it's a skin called Mona Red. There's also this one here. Has a more gray vibe to it. So, and it makes the UI a bit more intuitive. I don't like the default UI by Diva. Makes the modulation a bit difficult, but this one is a lot easier with the modulation. It looks cool, man, with the freaking voice map modulator and everything. Really nice. And if you open up the preset browser, you also get a few of the essential controls over here that you can change, like cutoff resonance, and you can change the mod wheel and whatnot. So it's a really cool interface. But I forgot the company's name, man. This is not an ad for them. I just really like their stuff here. And then you got the Redwood, which is the default Diva skin, which also looks kind of okay, but it's different. Yeah. Anyway, back to the video. Let's go back to Mona Red. 80 presets, 80 MIDI files, and 80 according wave files as well. And you can also get a couple of these demo stems here with a few track ideas. Anyway, this is sound number 19. Just pitch down a few halftone steps to match the key, which is B Dorian or B minor. Yeah, I remember using Tantra to make this a little fatter. For those of you guys who don't know Tantra, it's a effects manipulation plugin. Just can switch through a few presets and you get very weird modulation on the sound. For example, if I were to solo this track and hit play. Yeah, it's just really dope plugin. Like step modulation, allows you to modulate different parameters like filter, distortion, delay. Great for progressive house. Yeah. All together now it would sound like this. And what's cool about having this pitch device here, which is locked to the scale, is that you can change the pitch while the track is playing, and it'll still sound like a variation or like a new melody. So for example, on this harmony layer, which is track 2, this one, I can control the pitch while the track is playing. So I could, for instance, create a new MIDI track. The input of this MIDI track I will change to the second Diva layer. Let's actually call this one harmony. So you guys, harmony, okay, misspelled it, doesn't matter. Harmony, post effects, and then what we can do is record on this layer and hit record. So right now it's recording that MIDI to a new track, and I can play around with the pitch here. Yeah. Arrow up and down. That's all I'm doing on my keyboard. It's stupidly simple, but so much fun. So I basically just arrow up and down this pitch device, and it locked every note to the scale of B Dorian. And I've recorded all that into this new MIDI layer. So I could, for instance, just go in here and selected a specific part or a longer part like this. And then I can grab the MIDI and put it onto the track itself. I will not need this pitch device because I already have the pitch variation inside the MIDI clip. Let's go 8 bars. I think this last half was really good, yeah? Let's loop this up. Yeah. Mute the kick. Yeah. Mute the bass line maybe. We'll start muting the drums. And you're in the break. And you all you had to do was mute a few clips and you're already in the break. And on this harmony layer, you can open up the synth a little bit, so you add a bit of tension. So let's maybe open up the cutoff. Maybe the release. Resonance. Back down. And play everything. Let's go. Oops. Opala. Yeah, it would be smart to put this clip here, yeah? So it would sound like this. Freaking ruined it. Let's try that again. Maybe we could map to the most important parameters here, hitting configure. This. I'll mute the kick. Open up the frequency. Mute the bass. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play around with the melodies a bit. Mute the drums. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mute the toms. Now would be the time to play around with the frequency here. Release. So we give it some length. Add some reverb, delay, whatever you want. And before the drop, we close it back down and hit play on the first row. There we go. Dude. With a pitch device here. Maybe go back to the first clip here. Yeah. And what's cool is that you can also use the mod wheel here. For example, change the resonance. I don't think it's doing that much here in this preset. Doesn't matter. You get the point. I'm composing a track here while just muting, unmuting a few clips, hitting play, pause. You don't need to overcomplicate it. You can come up with the foundation of your track here in this session view. the end. You know, this would be the outro or something like that, yeah? And that would filter out the pad. So we're just left with the drums at the very end. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. I know today's video had a little less structure, but this is one of the first videos that I'm posting. If not the first video that I'm posting after the huge break that I took. So yeah, thank you for watching. And yeah, I generally want to shift my attitude a bit more towards just creating videos that I personally enjoy. And not adding too much pressure around, you know, how I talk, what I show. Just showing my process and see if people enjoy it or not. Yeah. Cheers. God bless. Thank you for watching.